why I was like, you guys are like, what is she doing?
The modesty of people will also change in your future as you become us. Nudity, sexuality, all things will be expanded and widened very much, and we know that this can be a fun fact for you.
That's okay.
A fun fact.
Thank you for sharing that.
You are welcome, and you may ask the question when your heart is ready for the answer.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out how to ask this question. I fell out of bed this morning on a hardwood floor, and I think I probably injured an area in my ribs. And it's kind of funny because, I just got in recovery from prostate cancer, and all the laboratory work supports recovery by far. But yet, there are things happening which sort of mimic that there might still be some problem. And it's like the universe is playing with me. And Alice went through a similar thing where she had a lot of symptoms indicating a possible cancer situation, and I knew it was okay. It turned out that she was okay after medical exploration of her situation. So I think I know the answer, but I'm curious about why the universe plays around with us and gives us symptoms that feel like we could be, in a serious state.
Yes, and appreciation of that question comes. You expressed by your own words that you feel the universe plays with you in that sort, and without a pun being intended, you are also playing with yourself. When you are feeling the energy of a symptom, that tells you something. That tells you that there is possibility of something that is wrong within you. You yourself have focused on your health for many years. Your focus of your health was always an independent variable in your life. You saw that many things were external sources. Your own health was both internal and external, and that going through that experience, the only way to treat the illnesses was to gain access to a higher state of consciousness, and also to tune your physical body so that it reacted well to the internal injury or energy and the energy of the food produced outward. So there are all these combinations that reminded you of the importance of your health, both mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and in all of those veins of energy, what was made aware to you? What was made aware to you is that your life was important. That despite all of the things you've experienced, your desire to experience more is there. That comes difficult to many people in your stage. When you are in the stage of life where you are going through and have had opportunities to experience a great deal, there is always the question, should I go forward? Should I continue living in this life when I've seen horrible and positive things behind me? And those scares are there sometimes to remind you that you still have the choice. That vibrationally and with your mind you create that magic inside you that either keeps you healthy or keeps you ill. So both of you have experienced that with an energy that all humans in this state carry. Fear, anxiety, and worry, that creates illness. Those symptoms remind you that you carry a great deal of pain inside of you, and that every time you let go of that pain, you are reminded that your health will increase. So it is there to show you both of those things. You can be healthy by letting go, or you can be ill by holding on. And this is what both of you have been shown recently.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You are welcome.
I think it was the same question.
Really? Wow.
So, I think it's been answered. So.
Twin flames going on here.
Yeah.
Hi, Nihao Collective.
Hello.
I have a question about my friends. And once I have a very, very close friends, like I think when we talk, our minds just crashing each other. It's just so excited. But last year when I moved out from the same city, moved out the city she lived in, and I think she started to want me to push her away, but I didn't. So she stopped talking to me. So at that time, I was questioning myself, am I being a good friend? But during the past year, some of my friends, some I haven't never met before, and some we lost contact for a while, but they start to come close to me, like they're seeking my support and my comfort and my advice. So I think that's very interesting. I just want to ask, am I still being a good person and having a positive relationship with my friends, even when they are leaving me?
Do you love the friend that you no longer communicate with?
Of course.
Then your relationship with that person is pure. That love that you have for that person, you're committed to try to work with them despite their not wanting to work with you, shows that you love. But there is also a fine line between allowing a person their own experience and also trying to help them. When you continue telling that person that they are loved, that you love them, that your energy is meant from goodness, that is acceptable. You can love them. It is good to love. But if it becomes so hard in your mind or heart that separation has occurred, that you push on that person and say, you have to accept me, you're not allowed to push me away, you cannot create space between us, then you are crossing a different line. Then you are taking a bit of that free will away. There is a way to love them from a distance. There is a way to love them without pushing yourself on them. By simply stating to them that they are loved, and whenever their decision to communicate with you occurs, that you will be there waiting in love and waiting with an open heart. That will tell them that it is their move next. When a human feels that they have no option left, they become desperate. When desperation occurs, there can be only a few outcomes. The two most common outcomes is pushing back at you harder or retreating for good. Neither of those are productive to the relationship with that person. So by telling them that they are loved, you understand that they have not had time or desire to communicate, and telling them that when they're ready, they may reach for you and you will be there, that is the best way to go in our minds, because we've seen the effects of all other attempts to try to get others to see our ways. When we cared for someone and loved them so much that we felt they needed to understand where we were coming from, all we did was push them. And when you push that too hard, then there becomes injury, not just to that person, but the dynamic relationship between.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You are welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
My question is, I came out of school last year. I have been in school for many, many years and a very long time. So at school, I used to have a lot like flexibility in time. I can, you take classes and you can do whatever you want, and you do research, whatever. So I have a lot of flexibility when I was in school. So came out of school, I started working, and what I do is, the type of work is good. I like it, and sometimes can be interesting, sometimes can be repetitive and boring, and I feel a lot of stress sometimes, not a lot, but sometimes it could be stressful for me when I feel like I lost this flexibility in time, because you have to work probably 9 to 5. And another reason causing me sometimes to be a little stressful is that the closest person I work with is also my friend. Sometimes he has a lot of responsibility on his shoulder and he's in a great stress. So this stress also affected me. So I'm wondering if you can give me some advice for people just got start working, and how can you reduce this stress at work?
Of course, there is an option that we can share that will seem perhaps not valid or valuable to you, but we will share it nonetheless. If you remove yourself from that work altogether, or any part of that work that stresses you, you will benefit. Now, we understand the system that you're in. We understand how when we lived in our past, there was do this or do not have abundance, do this or not have financial means, do this in the job that you do like and that you don't like, but anything that you don't enjoy, anything that stress has caused will not be helpful to you. First, see what your favorite thing to do is, and then find a way to do it on your own time. Find a way to do it when you're excited. That is the bigger picture. The smaller picture of how to get through that experience. First, you are a giving person. Your heart is open, you care for others. When a friend is affected, it hurts you. That is rational and it is understandable, but you have to also be respectful of that person's experience. Just as we shared in our last conversation, when you become intrusive on another's energy, it does not benefit either you or them. So by saying, I need to let my friend experience this, and I cannot allow it to affect me, that is a way to help remove part of the stress. Now, how can you do this when you have such an open heart? You have to retrack your thinking. You have to reroute the process of your mind. Repeating a concept and intent several times over gives you an opportunity to retrack and retrain your brain. When you say, I can let my friend have a bad day without affecting me. I can let my friend have a bad day without affecting me. I can let my friend have a bad day without affecting me. Although it seems asinine, although it seems somewhat stupid, it will help you retrain the brain. It will help you retrain your reaction. The majority of the time when you're stressed, it has nothing to do with insight or energy in the moment. It is a reactive measure that's caused by your previous experiences. Removing reaction and creating interaction is how you'll be able to steady that flow of energy that's interrupting you. When you feel a negative experience at the workplace that's not related to your friend, then try to focus on what part of the job that you're doing is fun. What is the one part in your experience that gives you the most frustration? Think about what that is. When you think about that and have an answer, then try to take yourself into a new energy. Try to take yourself into a calm, centered place and say, what about this can I find that's fun? And try to pull the best out of it. This is the only way that it will help you work through that if you are not able to step away from that job altogether. And we say not able to, not because it is impossible, but because your feelings and beliefs might not allow you to just step away from it completely. Those feelings and beliefs are important.
Okay, that's very helpful. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you too.
Greetings to all, this is Aridif, that is Aridif, and this is its spell. We understand there are many queries about the idea, the event. We will express these in one moment, but before diving into that one concept, we wish to express two concepts of our own. The first, above and beyond all things expressed within this day, to know, to feel, and to perceive that you are loved is of the utmost importance in our perspective. Secondly, we also wish to express to you our own greatest excitement of the co-creation in this moment. Now, we move forward towards the event. Now, this is very different depending upon which person is speaking about the event. It is very different when other entities express their own perspective of the event. So we have a very wide spectrum of energy, ranging from the concept that all humans are moving from third to fourth density at a natural evolutional pace, all the way to within a matter of days or moments, one shift will occur that will ascend all beings directly into fourth density. Waking up in your morning or in your midday, a vibrational shift so large that all of you will start having deep amounts of telepathy. All of you will start being able to utilize your psychic abilities, and all of you will be able to utilize your own connection to your guides through channeled state or telepathic states. The reason for this widened spectrum of ideas about the one topic comes, just as all things in your planetary consciousness come in multiple varieties, different angles, and separate perspectives. First of all, the concept of ascension is not one that is a new concept. It is something that was taught even by the oldest channelers within the human collective consciousness, those who connected after the Anunnaki's first engagement, but before the connection processing to the midst of what you would call the Hindu text wars. These entities were, just as Rob is, connecting in a channeled state telepathically to the entities in their own oversouls and all their soul groups. Knowing this, it is utilized information coming into the human consciousness also must indicate, just as channeling is in this day, for any entity that might filter themselves through their own beliefs, or might filter another energy in the same breath or in the same light as their own beliefs. Information is only as accurate as the energy in which transmits this concept. So, what we mean by this is, for example, if you are looking at an entity who believes that the world will end in the year of 2012, and that being so strongly believes it, that it is a part of their ever fiber within their consciousness, that entity will not be able to channel any information that is contradictory if they are not open to the idea of its own possibility. Now, we use another example. For instance, Rob, in his own belief systems, he is open to quite many possibilities and probabilities. So if we were to tell him in the year of 2011 that the world would end in 2012, but he did not believe it deeply, perhaps that energy would be able to still come through in that way. So, the concept is, when you are co-creating with another energy or entity, you must take two things into account: the overall vibration and belief systems incorporated in the channel themselves, and also the entity and their own desire to communicate. There are many entities in the universal consciousness that are of a type 2 variety. Those beings incorporate a mix of different information. Some of them are ranging in what we would call the middle of the type 2 spectrum all the way to the malevolent, and those entities can connect to human consciousness. Humans can channel those energies. So those entities that are in that spectrum are also having their own desire to speak from their own perspective. Let us say that there is a race, for example, that co-creates with humanity, that desires for them to think that they are limited, to think that there is an appropriate energy towards the pushing down of those that they feel are less than themselves. That energy can be transmitted through a human channel. Many of you who have explored channeling thoroughly have heard this concept. You hear of division. You hear that this one race or another race is doing negative and bad things. You hear many channelers speak of the Jewish entities or Jewish people, and also the reptilian energy, and that there is no such thing as a good entity in those groups. But, as you are all aware, just as in racism in the earliest Earth, these entities can transmit that signal to an entity who is already receptive to segregation, to drive that wedge even further between human collective consciousness. That is what we would say the indicator is to an entity who is not aligned, or a being who is channeling who is not aligned, is if the information is divisive, if the information promotes segregation and separation, then it is not coming from a place of divine energy. We also understand, many of you know the belief system about any entity that carries their consciousness in a physical body is not within 100% connection to their higher fractalized consciousness. Now, when you look at your own human experience, you see that approximately, for those of you who are the most expanded, are within 20 to 25% of their higher fractalized consciousness integrated into their physical body. Now imagine a 6 density being with 20 times the amount of consciousness that the human consciousness has, and has integrated approximately 80 to 95% of their higher fractalized consciousness. So now you see the difference in those two energies. But even the highest energy, even the wisest being within the physical universe, still has 10% to integrate, or 5% to integrate. This means that although they are searching for that last remnant of the higher fractalized consciousness, it has not fully integrated. So they are not in 100% alignment with that source and format of divine presence and energy. That being said, the majority of those who speak of this event are coming through an energy that is segregative or divisionaries in construct and scope. When you look at entities who are expressing that only those chosen beings, only those that have worked so strongly to get their consciousness in alignment and expand themselves will experience a shift, then you also know that these entities are not coming from a place of oneness or connection. If you hear an entity express that all individuals will or will not do something, then that is coming from a place of divisionary consciousness. We have expressed multiple times in multiple varieties. Once we receive the query of the being, they will ask us about consciousness, ascension, and we have told many things to many of you as your own personal exchanges are at hand. But each one of you individually will go through your own experience. As all of you know, each and every one of you create your own reality so wholly that every experience within that co-created collective life that you are going through is yours and yours alone. Co-creation can occur and does occur frequently, but even in that co-creation you are still dealing with the version of the entity across from you that you are desiring to have in your experience the most. When you are exchanging ideas of what can happen in the future, time is also extremely fluid. For instance, there are entities who have expressed a query of what percentage of integration their higher fractalized consciousness is. We will tell them approximately 14%. By the end of them speaking with us, understanding themselves, gaining access to the information of their higher fractalized consciousness through the reflections of ourselves co-creating with him, that 14% goes to 16%. So even in that short 30-minute period, they have shifted their consciousness a great deal. 2% does not seem a great deal, but when you are dealing with consciousness, 2% is equivalent to oceans of consciousness within you. You look at all of the energies as you have co-created with others, and you understand the nature of your own ability to create and co-create. This is no different as ascension pertains. Look at your own concept. I am desiring to go to fourth density in this lifetime. Yes, there is a possibility for you to do this. Yes, there is a possibility for you to believe, to put in the excitement, time, and energy into the experience so wholeheartedly that you can shift. But most humans are not aware they are already in fourth density. There is no shift required to be in fourth density. In your marker year of 2012, in the solstice region of the 21st of December, your energy shifted from third to fourth density. In doing this, much of you have expanded rapidly and quickly, and that is why you have felt the accelerated pace of your creations. Knowing this, you also can know that any moment where you start tapping in to your own telepathy, your own intuition, your own expansive mindset, that you are touching in the beginning of your fourth density journey. So as you begin that process of fourth density, you experience all those parts. But many entities want to have the fast track of consciousness. They want to be in fourth density, even though only one of their lifetimes were involved in the time period in which to switch. And again, it can happen, but for the majority of you, it will be at a slower pace than overnight and instantly. The instantaneous fashion of manifesting your own ascensional process only comes when your life has been working towards a rapid shift or a great shift, or you are open to that experience. There are many entities that you desire to co-create that experience with, and if collectively all of you focus and have the same openness towards that energy, it can come to fruition. But when entities have expressed previously that all humans will either go or not go, that is not within alignment the way we perceive, because all of you are already there. All of you already lived in this physical incarnation to be the very first, the wayfarers, the first on land, the first entities who have pioneered and trailblazed that energy for themselves. Now, fourth density itself, at its fullest peak, there will be instant manifestations, or instant in your own perspective manifestations. There will be the ability to change physical matter around you. But this is at the end of fourth density. Most of you, in your experience, have either tapped the very first part of your fourth density experience, or who are in the fourth density experience and projecting yourself back into the third because of your belief systems and energy. So as you go forward, understand, yes, there are shifts in the collective consciousness. The collective consciousness that you chose to be in. Saying that, there can be as many shifts of consciousness in the collective that you desire to be in as you desire. There is also a great deal of energy going around a timetable that has been expressed. There is an expression that within 1,000 years human consciousness in its entirety will be in fourth density. Some believe that time frame is shortened to 50 to 100 years from this moment. In the collective you are all in, there is partial truth to this as we perceive it. Although all things are truth, we use these terms for your better understanding. The partial energy of truth in that is that most of you who are here listening in this moment, who have studied the teachers who are teaching this, are ready and excited to shift your vibration into a more fourth density centered earth. You desire that collective consciousness around you, so you are making an expression of shorter pathways, but there still must be that work involved in order for you to go through. And we do not mean you must work for what you get. We do not mean you must struggle to achieve. What we mean, you must go through the journey. Evolution of consciousness is how the entirety of this universal rules dictate. So when you are part of the universal collective, you must go through the engagement of stepping through each process in its own time and in its own place. Once you achieve your fourth density, there is much less restriction on how frequently you can jump in your abilities and connections. Let us use, for instance, a race that has recently entered the fifth density consciousness. Those beings were at great levels of love, great levels of understanding themselves. Instant manifestation, or seemingly instant manifestation, was already occurring. At the next level, there were so many different entities in this collective going at different paces that they created an entire race amongst each co-creator. 3 entities who were at the same level would create a world full of the entities that were exactly at the same level that they were. Then you have expressions of the co-created collective consciousness within that race, where they were shifting in and out of different vibrations, depending upon what entity they desired to co-create with, or what group they desired to co-create with, instantaneously manifesting their own different versions of vibration in alignment with the energies that they are co-creating with. That is the version of reality that all of you can go through, that all of you can achieve. There needs not be a lifetime of resistance, but if you look at your own experience, 5 years previously, 10 years previously, 25 years previously, all of you have grown exponentially. That version of growth can continue throughout your collective consciousness and your own life personally. We wish to express why it is this way. Why are the mechanics that each one of us create upon our own validity, will, desire, and belief systems? We have expressed you as the human collective, you carry that energy called the twin soul. This energy is a rapid succession of probabilities and possibilities for one fractal consciousness laid out, and the one that is within the free will alignment of the being in the oversoul fractal, and that experience that they desire, the twin soul accommodates by bringing that experience over to the twin soul for that 1/1,000,000th of a second experience. It is almost as the most professional card dealer that you know times 100 trillion. They are dealing cards out so quickly and so fastly, to the pace of your own shifts of vibration, that it will always give you what you call upon. It will always give you that energy. Now we use the example of those who you co-create with. Now there are 2 decks of cards staring at one another. The one in the center is always the one being handed over to the oversoul next. 2 fractal consciousnesses sitting in their oversoul, going through a vibrational shift. If both of them are in the same alignment, then the very middle card will be displayed for both entities. If one entity perceives the person across from them as a different vibration of what they truly are, then they have now won 4 or 5 cards to the right or left of the one in the center of the person they are co-creating with. So the middle version is the version that that person gets to experience, but the 4th card over is the one that you will co-create with. each one of you land your own desires and excitement exactly where they need to be. We will now take questions for this concept. Greetings to you all, this is Aridif, that is Aridif, and this is its spell. Before diving into your query about in-depth meditation, we wish to express yet two things. The first thing, as always, above and beyond all things expressed within this day, in our perspective, to know, to feel, and to perceive that you are loved is of the greatest use. Secondly, we wish to express our own great excitement to have co-created both this moment and all future moments of this specific interaction with you. Now, we will dive into this concept of in-depth meditation. But before going into the in-depth part, we must ask the question, concept, what is meditation? What are the techniques and mechanics behind this? What is the energy behind meditation? By doing this, we express that meditation is a concept that is human in nature, although many races utilize meditation or meditative styles of techniques. Meditation for humanity is quite unique to humanity itself. Many races have taught humanity certain techniques in how to utilize meditation for the benefit of themselves, for the benefit of the collective, or for the benefit of those specific entities in the way that they connect those humans or humans upon a collective concept. Knowing this, we will express to you what exactly the meditation is in our own perspective. Meditation, by our own definition, is gaining access to the alignment that is already within you, to remove the resistance that has learned both vibrationally and through actions of those around you, that you learn in a mental capacity, that you learn in an emotional capacity, and that you learn in a vibrational capacity. All of those resistances being removed in a moment clarifies your own energy. It clarifies your emotional, mental, and physical body. That alignment is meditation itself. Going into the in-depth portion of meditation, the in-depth process in our perspective is quite less definable than the idea of meditation itself. The in-depth portion is quite different. Individually, each of you perceive, consider, and define in-depth in quite a different way. For instance, when Rob speaks of in-depth meditation as it pertains to his own energy, what he means is going into a deep trance. Yet, when someone who is working in a less deep capacity of trance-style meditation, their in-depth is a mindfulness meditation, one in where their own mind is open to thought processes, their mental body, and their emotional reflexes. Those entities perceive in-depth much differently than Rob. So, the question we would ask you is to define in your own perspective what in-depth meditation means. By in-depth meditation, by definition of our own definition and within the definition of itself, it means to be at the deepest level of that alignment within yourself, and that resistance-free arena that you can carry as you can be. And there are many techniques that you can utilize for this. First of all, looking at the breathing process. This, in our own perspective, is one of the greatest importances when it comes to mindfulness, meditative techniques, when it comes to trance meditation techniques, or when it comes to that style of meditation in where you sit and breathe and relax and open yourself for all other experiences. Those who are psychic have intuitive openness within their own concept, but it all starts with breathing. Now, breathing in our perspective, as we've expressed, is very important to many beings, yet even this can vary in meditation techniques that have been shared across the Earth Collective, but also that have been brought forward from other races. Let us give you our own perspective about breathing, and then we will define a few other breathing categories. In our perspective, to breathe inward from the nose, filling the entire chest and lungs with breath in a complete, steady, and deep breath. It's very important. Our own example is this. And once your lungs are filled, once your chest is filled with air, there is no stopping between. As soon as it is filled, then the air is released. And we will give you an example such as this. All of the air is released from the lungs and chest, and even your stomach for those who breathe deeper. And in that concept, you are deflating entirely your lungs. You are alleviating yourself of all the air. So to continuously flow is the greatest concept in our own mind with this breathing technique. And we will show you what this looks like in what we have defined as the breathing circuit. And the reason we call this the breathing circuit is it is a perpetual looping of energy. Just as your electrical current circuits, it is consistently going forward and moving in a circular or non-stoppable rate. In our perspective, the more that you allow this circuit to move, the higher the energy within yourself, the more accessible the chakra energy is to yourself, and the more in alignment you are with yourself. By doing this, you can tap into your emotional, energetic, mental, auric field, and chakra bodies. We will give you this example of a full breathing circuit now. With that breathing circuit, looping, ever going, no stopping, there is no resistance in the breath. And why is the breath important? Yes, we've expressed to you, it creates a loop or an energy or a circuit of breathing. But why is that important energetically? What about the breath creates this energy? First of all, understanding what the breath is very important, deeply. The nature of what breathing is for the human consciousness is vital to understand. When you are breathing in air, you are breathing in life. And when you breathe in life, you are creating and co-creating with the Earth collective consciousness itself. Mother Earth, or Gaia, as most of you call this, is an energy that is purely a manifestation of the entire Earth collective consciousness, meaning that every elemental consciousness, rock, electricity, air, fire, every animal, tree, bacteria, anything that you perceive as a living being is part of the Earth collective consciousness. Every human consciousness from the beginning of time until the end of mankind and all higher dimensional forms of mankind are part of the human collective consciousness. When you are breathing in air, you are breathing in the very first elemental layer of consciousness in the Earth created, co-created and collective consciousnesses. When you breathe in the air, you are taking the fundamental building block elemental air collective consciousness into your physical body. The breath itself sustains. The breath itself creates the oxygen within your blood that allows your heart to go. As you all know, the heart is the organ that is the representation of your heart chakra, hence the name heart chakra. Why is this important? The heart is the center of your circulatory system. It is the part of your own energy that feeds and gives nutrition to all of the rest of your physical body. The oxygen within your blood that breathe in from your lungs, that transmutes itself into energy and oxygen in the blood, allows you to sustain your physical presence, allows you to co-create upon the greatest level of life. This is something that is not just the Earth Collective Consciousness. There are many different breaths from many different collectives. Each of those breaths different, some created in nitrogen, some created in carbon monoxide, others with carbon dioxide, others with gases that are poisonous to human collective consciousness. Sulfuric gases can be breathed by some entities and created as their own circuit of life. By bringing forward that Earth Collective Consciousness air elemental and giving that nutrition and vitality to your physical body, it creates all cycles within. Every larger cycle within your body, your circulatory system, your muscular system, your skeletal system, your digestive system, your nerve system, from your brain down to the brain stem, into your spine, and throughout each nerve of your physical body, is utilizing that sustained energy of your breath. It gives you the nutrition just as food or just as eating does. This is why those who carry no resistance within them are able to breathe and to drink water and survive without food. This is why many entities in the higher dimensions do not utilize food. That breath of life is what sustains them. This is not just the Earth Collective that breathes, but it is the Earth Collective that sustains itself with the breath of life in the version and the way that humanity does. Now, understanding the breathing portion energetically and physically, we must express the mechanisms in which it co-creates with your energetic body. When you are looking at your energetic body, there are several different layers. There is your auric field, there is the chakra system, there is the emotion and mental bodies that all of you carry, and there are several thousand more layers, but those are the ones that are both most appropriate for you and most understandable to most human minds. When you look at your emotional body, that also is controlled by the breathing process. That also has a very high connotation to coincide with the style of breathing in which you are working with. Think about when you are happy. Breathing is not even thought about. When you are relaxed, breathing is deep and slow. When you are furious, mad, or anxious, your breathing is fast and unstable. Your emotional body does not dictate the breath, but it co-creates with the breath, one using the energy of the other and co-creating with it. Notice that if you start breathing randomly and very quickly, you can feel the emotion of panic coming into you. Also, when you are in a panic state, if you start breathing slow, it can calm you down. It is the center of your emotional body. That is why your heart chakra is directly connected. Your third chakra utilizes it much more than any other besides the heart. And your first and second can be grounded with that energy. When you are breathing in that air and releasing it in a slow, steady, and conscious state, you are truly grounding yourself into that energy of the Earth Collective, because you are using its wind elemental consciousness, and you are breathing out the sustaining life forces for those second density plant beings around you. You are co-creating upon that level. This is a small portion of the breath, but we wish to express those concepts to you so that it is better understandable. Now we look into other concepts, meditation. As you are aware, there are infinite versions of meditation. In our perspective, breathing at the center of all of them, as we have stated, but there are also breathing techniques that utilize the difference in breathing. For instance, those who are understanding of dragon breathing or fast breathing, a force that Rob himself utilizes when connecting to Treb Bor Yit NE in the last few seconds of Rob's conscious mind before going in into a deep trance state, astrally projecting and connecting to Treb Bor Yit NE's energy as Treb Bor Yit NE comes into his physical body. That specifically is rounded for Treb Bor Yit NE's energy because of the conscious state that happens. Now, as we've expressed, when you are breathing randomly and quickly, it can cause panic. But if you are breathing with intent and breathing fast, gaining access to the oxygen quickly and releasing it quickly, you are able to start going into the higher chakra systems. You are starting to tap into your heart, throat, third eye, and crown, while breathing slow and steady connects you into your lower chakras. This higher energy and higher breathing system would appear to you as this. When utilizing this, you can become ungrounded in certain ways. You are starting to go into your etheric realm. Why is this different than the grounding processes of the breathing deep? First of all, the quick release. You are picking up and letting go of energy quickly. What is the earth below you? It is a steady and rock energy. It is a hard earth energy. And when we say earth, we do not mean the planetary consciousness. We mean the elemental rocks and ground below you. Those are solid, steady, just like your long breath. While air and ether, electricity, are those that are much quicker, much more intensified, and go into the higher chakras. First, understanding your chakra system is vital in this state. In the center, your heart chakra. Most humans perceive the chakra system to be in one way or another. We will tell you our own perspective in how we see humans interact with their chakra systems. First of all, the root chakra and your crown chakra is where your energies enter. They start going from one side to the other, from the bottom upwards and from the top downwards, simultaneously. The earth collective consciousness, Mother Earth, from the ground itself gives you the earth energy. And as it goes up towards your heart chakra, the etherical grid energy, or the electromagnetic ley lines that lie above your head, some entities call this the dragon lines or ley lines, that is the etheric energy that is made of ether, the element of ether. That energy goes down from the crown chakra into your heart. So both of these energies go through your chakras. Going through your first and seventh chakra, it does not interact with the chakra itself. It utilizes it more so as a negative battery post in your car, or a negative wire within your electrical system. It grounds the energy, but it does not directly interact with that specific circuit. Then it goes through the second and sixth, then the third and fifth, again without interacting with any chakra. Then both of those energies ignite, going into and touching the heart chakra. At that point, the energy ignites. Once ignited, it redistributes itself in the same way it receives it, both up and down, going back into the etheric grid and back into the earth itself. When your chakra system works in this way, utilizing the dragon breath keeps your energy from your heart chakra and above, mostly in the third eye and crown. You are tapping into your etheric nature. You are tapping into the ether. It is not only the lack of oxygen going to your brain that creates a dizziness, but even once you recreate your breath, you can still feel the light and version from your body. Most of you understand the version and nature of human consciousness when you have those who are deeply grounded, who can go through day to day without much bothering them, who understand the mechanics of being a human, and you have those who are in their higher chakras, who are very etheric in their own perspective. They are less likely to dive into their mental body and more so into the etherical nature of their chakra system. their heart, their own third eye and crown, throat, when those who are creating from the grounded are going in first, second, third, and fourth. When you understand the nature of that energy, then you understand both how you yourself ground to it and how any of those etherical energies can co-create with you. The ideal for the chakra system to be at its perfect setting is to allow yourself to redistribute in the same way, with no resistance in all of the chakras that it leaves the heart going up and down. Those who have more of an etheric nature to themselves, their higher chakras are more open and active, their lower chakras more closed, and vice versa for those who are grounded. When you utilize meditation, you are trying to create an equal thermal equilibrium within yourself. By doing this, or let us say an equal etheric equilibrium within yourself, and as you start working from that place, then you are able to access both the grounded nature of the human consciousness and the etheric nature of your etheric consciousness, such as star seeds mostly create upon the Earth Collective. When you are utilizing both of them, then you are able to properly channel, then you are able to properly connect to other consciousness, your intuition, your higher self, or just feel in a more complete way. There are many forms of meditation. We will dive into those at a later point. We will take your queries now.
During the day while we're shooting our Patreon, everybody, this is some behind the scenes shooting stuff. We went out to take a drive in the country hoping the rain would settle so we could shoot some more, and look at what Kalina and I found. The multi-colored, multi-spectrum rainbow.
And it's actually a double rainbow, but it's very faint.
Very faint.
You might see it, but we can see it with the naked eye.
We can. It's beautiful. It's darkest over here. Unfortunately, there's a bunch of tractor equipment and telephone poles, but we live in. All right, everybody. So this is a little behind the scenes shooting in my son's room while he's at his mom's. And Chini is going to be channeling for us. We've got her up on the chair ready. We got the microphone set. She's going to be channeling for us, doing some amazing channeling. Hey, Chini. What are you going to be channeling, sweetie? Love, because she just kiss-eyed us. So, all right, everybody. So that's the Chini channeling.
Only a small part of the energy, although we do appear much like the animal beings on your planet called the birds. We still are humanoid, very humanoid. We have fingers and we have toes and we have facial structure similar to yours, but our skin is different. Where you have skin with hair, we have skin with feathers, and that skin with feathers, it's not very different than some of your earlier dinoids or dinosaurs, and those beings who had feathers in your dinosaurs had very similar feathers like ours. And that was something that we continue to have, sharing processes with you. I am sorry for the miscommunication. The energy of this animal is taking some focuses away of my speeching.
Chini's will come up and has a liking to you, I think.
I also like this being.
She is very sweet. I like you also, friend.
Thank you. It's very nice to be here. The feathers that we have are multiple shades of blue. Most of them are some
Thank you all for your support here on Patreon. We will keep this type of unseen content coming your way. We love you guys with all our heart. Rob and Kalina. Come see our website, etwhisperer.com.